Sometimes the biggest, most complex ideas, they aren't found in some dense textbook. Sometimes a single, stunning story can just cut right through all the noise. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to unpack this huge concept, privilege, blindness, the whole shebang, through one incredible, true story that says it all. Okay, so picture this. You're at a fancy dinner party, right? The host, a really powerful guy, taps his glass and the whole room goes quiet. And he makes this announcement. Vernon can read. He's talking about his chauffeur. I mean, it sounds like a weird punchline, doesn't it? But it's not. It's the end of a story that pulls the curtain back on a worldview so ingrained it's honestly hard to believe. So to really get what's happening at that dinner party, we've got to rewind a bit. The story revolves around two people. First, you've got Mayor Robert Maddox. He's a big deal in Atlanta's high society, a key part of the white elite. And then there's Vernon Jordan, a sharp young black college student, working for the summer as Maddox's driver. So you have these two men from completely different universes sharing the same space every single day. And the whole thing kicks off with something super simple. One afternoon, Maddox walks into his library, and there's Vernon Jordan just reading a book. That's it. It seems like such a normal, quiet moment, but it's not. It's like a tiny crack that suddenly shatters a window, and a lifetime of hidden, unspoken assumptions just comes flooding out.
And get this, Maddox doesn't ask, hey, what are you reading? Nope. His very first reaction is just pure shock. That single sentence, wow, it just lays bare the invisible walls of his reality. It shows you that in his world, the idea that the people serving him could have a rich inner life and intellect, it just wasn't even part of the equation.
But Vernon Jordan's response? It's so calm, so matter-of-fact. And that's what makes it so powerful. He doesn't get angry, he doesn't argue, he just states the facts. Each one is like a little nudge, pushing against the very foundation of Maddox's world. And, oh boy, this is where things really start to fall apart for the mayor.
You could almost picture Maddox just scrambling, trying to find his footing as his world melts away around him. He starts firing off questions. White children go to that school? White girls go to that school? He's not just asking questions, he's basically running a system check on a reality that's suddenly full of errors. And with every single yes, sir from Jordan, another piece of his world just vanishes. So this is kind of his last-ditch effort. He can't make sense of the where or the how, so he tries to figure out the why. He asks Jordan if he's studying to be a preacher. See, in his mind, that's the only acceptable ambition for an educated black man. It's a role he can understand, one that fits neatly into this non-threatening little box he's created. And then Jordan delivers the final blow. No, sir. I'm studying to be a lawyer. A lawyer, not a preacher. Think about that for a second. A profession that's all about understanding and challenging the very legal system that propped up Maddox's entire world. That was the one that just broke the whole thing. And that's when Maddox, with absolutely nowhere else to turn, just says it. He says the quiet part out loud. He doesn't say it like an opinion. He says it like it's a law of physics, like gravity or the sky being blue. It's not just his belief. It's the fundamental logic of his entire society stated as plain fact. Now, it would be really easy to just write off Maddox as, one ignorant guy. But that's missing the point. The story is so much bigger than that. The real question is, how does a person get so wrapped up in their own bubble that something as simple as a man reading a book can completely shatter the reality? And what this all shows us is that it's not really about one person being bad. It's about the very architecture of a society. See, when a system is built to give you a leg up from the day you're born, it also teaches you, it conditions you to see that advantage not as a privilege, but just as the way things are supposed to be, the natural order of things. And that system, it works 24/7 to keep that illusion going. I mean, everything around you, the books, the movies, the laws, even the ads you see, it's all designed to mirror that hierarchy right back at you, to constantly tell you, yep, you belong at the top. It's like living inside a giant echo chamber of superiority. Which brings us to what happens when someone just doesn't fit the rules. A person like Vernon Jordan, this bright, aspiring lawyer, he wasn't just a surprise to Maddox, he was like a glitch in the matrix, an error code popping up on a screen that was supposed to be flawless. And when that happens, You don't blame the system, right? No, you blame the glitch.
So what you have here is a head-on collision of two completely different realities. On one side, there's Maddox's world. It's safe, it's comfortable, it's built on the certainty that there's a natural order. And on the other side, there's Vernon Jordan, just existing. His very existence is a direct contradiction to that entire order. He wasn't doing anything aggressive, but to Maddox, his very being felt like an unbearable threat. And that takes us right back to where we started, that dinner table. Remember his strange comment? Well, now it all makes perfect sense. This wasn't a man marveling at progress. This was a man confessing his terror of a future that he had no control over, a future where all the rules that made him king were being torn up and rewritten. And that, right there, is the heart of this entire story. The key takeaway. For people in power, the ultimate fear isn't losing their safety or their money, it's losing their superiority. It's the terror of no longer being above others, but just being equal. Look, this story about Robert Maddox and Vernon Jordan might feel like it's from another time, but the mechanism behind it, that's timeless. It leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on. What are the things we believe are supposed to be, simply because our world has always presented them that way? And who is the next Vernon Jordan, quietly reading a book, preparing to prove us all wrong?